Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Today I am going to be doing 3 wrap-ups for you, 3 months worth for March, April, and May. I did the best in May. I think I did a damn good job in May. But for March and April, I think I read 4 books each month, and I think I read 6 in the month of May. But May, I had some huge books in there, so I would even count it as more. That's the best one I did. Anyways, I'm rambling. Let's just jump right into the video. Okay, so the first book that I read in the month of March was Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Of course, everybody knows what this is. This is the 3rd book in the Harry Potter series, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. This is definitely one of my favorites in the series, and revisiting this world is just, I love it so much, and it never gets old. So I really enjoyed this one, and I don't think I could give it anything less than 5. Next book I read in the month of March was a bit of a surprise to me because I didn't know if I was going to like it. I'm not that much into psychological thrillers. I did like You by Carolyn Kepnes, but I haven't read that many psychological thrillers, so I decided to pick up Killing Sarai by J.A. Redmersky. This is one of my favorite new adult authors, so I had a feeling I was going to love it just because it's her and it's her writing, and I just eat through her writing because she's got such an easy writing style, and it's very gripping, and it gets you like the first page and you just don't want to put it down. This is the first in a series called The In Company of Killers, but I did end up giving this one 5 out of 5 stars. Next book I have in the month of March was a reread for me, and that is The Mortal Instruments City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This is one of my favorite series of all time, and Jace Wayland Herondale, whatever you want to call him, is one of my all-time favorites. I love his witty banter and his sarcastic tone. I just find him so interesting and complex, and I love how he is so conceited and feisty, and he's not afraid to just like, hey, look at me, you know, I'm the shit. I love that about him. That's one of my favorite things about Jace. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked because I just love Jace. I ended up giving this one a 5 out of 5 stars. It was really great revisiting the world because I got to pick up on the pieces that I've forgotten about in the past because I've only read this series once. So it was really good revisiting. Again, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Last book I read in the month of March was City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare. This is the 2nd book in the Mortal Instruments. I ended up giving this one a 4.75 out of 5 stars the second time around. I really enjoyed it, but not as much as I did the first time around. It kind of had second book syndrome, so I think that's why I docked it a little bit, but it's still amazing. I love the characters, so it was, again, 4.75 out of 5 stars. Now going into April. The first book that I read in April was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the first book in the Raven cycle. It follows a girl named Blue and the Raven Boys. It's kind of a paranormal-esque series. It's really hard to explain this series. Like, I went into it not really knowing much about it. I kind of was hoping for a fantasy, but I got something else. But it was surprisingly a good thing that I didn't really know what it was. But I would more so put it in paranormal romance, kind of, but not really romancy. Like, it's got a teeny tiny touch of it a little bit here and there. It's very, very odd, but addicting. Like, the writing style is very addicting. So with that, I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5 stars. I would say go into this book not really knowing much because I feel like it's going to be better that way. And a lot of people love this series. I actually just met Maggie Stiefvater. I think it was a few weeks ago, and she is so freaking funny. She came to Michigan, so right after I got off of work, I went and met her. And if you guys follow me on Instagram, I posted a video of her talking a little bit. She's hilarious. But yeah, anyways, I would definitely check this out. Like I said, go into it not knowing. Next book I decided to pick up in the month of April was The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the second book in the Raven cycle, and This, I'm not going to go into any details, but I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. I thought this one was good, but again, second book syndrome, I thought the first book was better. Third book I read in the month of April was City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. I think this is one of my favorite ones in the series. It's just, there was so much happened in this series, and as you can see from my sticky tabs, that I devoured this book. It was just as good, maybe even better the second time reading it. And you guys, if you have not read the Mortal Instruments series, I highly suggest it, because you're gonna fall in love with everything. The world, the writing, the characters was just all amazing. And Jace, that's all you need to know. Jace, that should be reason enough to read this series, because I freaking love him so much. 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, next book that I read in the month of April was a new release. I believe it came out end of February, early April. I don't remember, because I was in Vegas, I believe, when this had come out, or it came out just before I went to Vegas. Anyways, and that is Reign of Shadows by Sophie Jordan. This is, I guess it's a new fantasy series. I'm not sure if it's going to be a duology or if there's going to be more than 2 books. I do know there's going to be more than 1. Okay, so for this, I'm just going to read you guys the inside flap, the synopsis, because this book is kind of hard to explain. Okay, so bear with me. It says, 17 years ago, an eclipse cloaked the kingdom of Railhoke in perpetual darkness. In the chaos, an evil chancellor murdered the king and queen and seized their throne. Luna, the kingdom's lost princess, has been locked away in a tower in the cursed Black Woods ever since. Luna's survival depends entirely on the world believing she is dead, but that doesn't stop Luna from longing for a life beyond the stifling tower walls. When she meets Fowler, a mysterious archer who has braved the Black Woods in search of land where the sun still shines, Luna is drawn to him despite the risks. When the tower is attacked, Luna and Fowler escaped together, but this world of darkness is far more treacherous than Luna ever realized. Hideous, flesh-hungry creatures lurk behind every corner. Each stranger they encounter as frightening ulterior motives. With every threat stacked against them, Luna and Fowler find solace in each other, but with secrets unspoken between them. Falling in love might be their most dangerous journey yet. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's get to kind of the details, okay? This ain't really going to be too much of a review, more of, I had a lot of complaints with this book, okay? One, this book is entirely too short for a fantasy series. I thought the pacing was all over the place. It kind of jumped plots constantly, like they were heading towards one thing, and then it veered off somewhere else. It's like, are you drunk? Where are you going? I don't know. You lost me in a few places. Then, this book was very, very insta-lovey. Like, very. Like, I love loving books. Even when it kind of happens fast, I'm okay with that. But it didn't make sense to me. Like, I liked them together. I liked that part about it. But I feel like it was just like where'd it come from? Like, I don't know. Like, where'd she have feelings? Where did he have feelings? Like, one day, they're like, oh, I kind of like them. And then the next day, or maybe even 2 hours later, it's like, oh, I love you. Oh, I love you too. No. No, 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 no. No. Before I get on too much of a rant, there was a lot of aspects I did like about this book. Like, I loved how the main character was blind. I thought that was a great quality to the book. And I liked how I've never read a book with a blind girl in it, but we need longer. Like, how many pages is this? Was like 300 pages. We needed longer for a fantasy book. Like, there's even contemporary books that are longer than 300 pages. Like, come on, please. So, with that, I ended up giving this a 3.75 out of 5 stars. I am going to continue on with the series, And I'm not trying to book bash this story, but it just, to me, it fell flat. That's all I'm going to say about it. It fell flat. Now on to May. The first book that I read in the month of May was actually on my tablet, and that was Kindred Spirits by Rainbow Rowell. This story, guys, was so pleasantly surprised. I wanted more, like so much more. It's a short story about a girl who is obsessed with Star Wars, and she's a huge fangirl, and she decides to wait in line for opening day of the latest Star Wars movie. And it was just fantastic, and it was so cute. And like I said, I wanted more. It was so cute. I love Rainbow Rowell's writing. She does such an amazing job with incorporating how fangirls truly are and how we feel about the stories that we fall in love with and movies and love, and just she just did a fantastic job. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. You guys can read it in one sitting. It took me maybe about a half an hour to read it, and I read it on my lunch break at work, and it was so cute, guys. I highly recommend checking that one out. Again, I give it 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read in the month of May completely tore my heart out. And if you guys can't guess what that is, it is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. This story was so beautiful and witty and funny and frustrating and just all the things you could want in a love story. I felt like it was a true love story. Like, you don't get that very much in books. Everything is vain when it comes to love nowadays, and it doesn't come from the heart. So it was so refreshing to be able to read this story and to see love from a different perspective. It follows a girl named Louisa Clark, and she is having a hard time finding a job. So she goes to a place in town for them to find her a job, and she ends up getting the job as kind of like a caretaker, or just like, I guess you could say, a paid friend, just to keep a paraplegic man company. And the man in the story, his name is Will. He is, I believe they called it a stage 4 quadriplegic. And again, I have not read a story about anybody who had this type of injuries. So in the beginning of the story, like I said, she gets this job taking care of Will. And Will does not like anybody. He is a miserable man who is in his early 30s, and he is just, he's ready to end his life, and he's ready to go because like I said, he's miserable. He was in an accident, so beforehand he had everything in the palm of his hands. He was a lawyer, he had a beautiful girlfriend, he got to travel the world, and then after he was in the accident, like, everything got taken away from him. So to him, he had nothing left to live for. And then comes Louisa, who is all sunshine and rainbows, and she likes wearing odd clothes, and she's very much, she loves life, and she likes being very vibrant. So that's a big change for him, and things change, and he starts enjoying life just a little bit more. And it's just, I don't want to go too much in more than that, but I think you guys can tell how much I truly love this story, and I can't wait to read the second one. It's called Me After You, and maybe I'll do a review on both of them for you guys, so stay tuned for that because I hopefully will be reading it soon. Fingers crossed. But again, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It's truly magnificent, and I can't wait to see the movie. I know I'm going to be bawling my eyes out, but you guys should definitely go and check this out. Alright guys, change in gears. I'm so freaking excited to show you guys this book. Favorite book maybe in my entire life. Like, I have freaking goosebumps. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I love this book so freaking much, and that is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Look at this, guys. Look at this humongous beauty. I love it so freaking much. I plan on doing a full review on A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Thorns and Roses, that's a mouthful, especially with my accent, and then A Court of Mist and Fury, because, guys, I think this is my new favorite series. Like, of course, Harry Potter is always #1, but besides that, okay, calm down. I need to calm the hell down, because I'm telling you, freaking love this one. If you guys had any kind of issues with A Court of Thorns and Roses, you need to get past this and you need to pick this up. You have to. Please, I beg of you. If you listen to anything that I have to say at all, pick up this series, please, and keep on reading, because by the end of this book, and can I tell you, Rhysand, like, guys, I'm so in love with him. Look at my new phone case. It's just, everything's Rhysand. Yes, that's baby. He is definitely #1 now in my book. Anyways, like I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail about this one. If I could give this damn book 1,000 freaking stars, I totally would. I wish I could. And you guys probably noticed I have another copy up here, but I don't care. That one's signed and this one isn't. And I give it 5 out of 5 stars. So the next book that I read in the month of May is Restoration by T.L. Coulter. Now this is the second book in, I believe she said it's going to be a duology as of right now. There's not going to be another book. I'm pretty sure, like, with the way it's left off, I think it's a possibility of more books, so we'll see how that goes. Anyways, the first book is called Retaliation, and it follows a girl named Clara. Kind of a dystopian series, and it's got assassins in it. I found it really interesting, and I like the concept of it. And TL's writing is very easy to read. So if you're looking for something that is that you can easily read and that is interesting and it'll keep you entertained, I would definitely check out her series. I'm trying to think of, she's got a few different series out. She's got a vampire series, she's got a fantasy series, which I really loved her fantasy series. I have not checked out her vampire series, even though she sent it to me, so I still have to read that one. And then her Restoration and Retaliation series, which I really, really enjoyed. I don't want to go into this one too much details. I believe I gave the first book, I think it was a 4 or a 5 out of 5 stars. I really loved that one. This one I didn't love as much, but I still enjoyed it. I ended up giving this one a 3.75 out of 5 stars. Next book I read in the month of May was because of my newfound obsession, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I am so completely in love with this series that I wanted to restart it over again, because I did not reread this one before starting A Court of Mist and Fury, so there was a lot of things that I did not remember. This one, now thinking back on it, I would probably give this one a between a 4 and a 4.75 out of 5 stars. I loved it. But now that I've read A Court of Mist and Fury, I would definitely say A Court of Mist and Fury is way, way better. It's on another level from what this book is. That book definitely did not have second book syndrome. I loved revisiting this book and seeing where Feyre started out to where she is now. And I started over and I redid this one with tabs. So now I can put this on my shelf, and it's beautiful. These are some of my favorite covers of all time also. But let's brush my ADD out of the way. Again, I gave this probably between 4.75 out of 5 stars. And last book I read in the month of May. You guys are going to think I am a complete freaking lunatic when you see what book I am talking about. Yeah, this is the first time in the history of me reading where I read the exact same book twice in a month. And with this book being over 600 pages, like, Yeah, I'm a bit of a lunatic, but it was so very worth it. Now, I thought maybe that with the hype surrounding this series that maybe, possibly, it would bring it down a smidge with how much I loved it, but no. No. I love this even more than when I read it the first time, because with rereading A Court of Thorns and Roses, it kind of refreshed my memory and all the other little details, like with Amarantha and what happened with Under the Mountain and with Tamlin and everything like that. So I'm just so freaking happy and ecstatic that I was able to first read this, then read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and then read this one again. Like, for me, that is unheard of, especially with how large these books are. I cannot reiterate enough that you guys need to read this, especially, like I said, if you had problems with the first one, you need to continue on and get to this one, because this one is going to be more than worth it. I promise you. Alright guys, that is all I've read in the months of March, April, and May. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys have read these past few months, or even in the month of May, or if you've read any of the ones that I've showed you today, and let me know what you thought about them. Remember, no spoilers, because that's not nice. And don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye! Mwah.